we as Muslims are ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to follow the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the way of the prophets before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And all of us know that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was the last messenger and the best of them, but he brought the same message as all the messengers before him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about our prophet and the prophets before him. And this is in the Quran in many surahs and ayat. You can find the stories of the prophets. Maybe high percentage of the Quran is about the stories of the prophets. Why is that? Because the message is the same message. All the prophets call for the same religion, which is Islam, in its general meaning, which is Tawheedullah Jalla wa Ala, worshipping Allah alone. This is the message of all the prophets. Plus the way or the circumstances that the prophets faced before Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced them same, okay, trials and same problems, same difficulties, okay, same enemies, everything is the same. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told Muhammad that what you are facing, okay, and what you are suffering from, okay, this is what happened to the prophets before you. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about the stories of the prophets. If we read the Quran, we notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he talks more about one prophet. Okay? There is a prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about him more. Who's he? Musa alayhi salam. No doubt. Musa alayhi salam. In many surahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about Musa alayhi salam. Why is that? Musa alayhi salam, he had, in his da'wah, many types of, challenges. Okay? He had problems with Fir'aun itself, okay, the ruler, and he had big problems with his people, because Bani Israel, the sons of Israel, okay, they did not accept the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way it should be. And Musa, he had difficult times with his people. It wasn't only, about Fir'aun and the Egyptians, who were enemies to Musa and his people. But it was also more difficult to Musa teaching his people, gaining their obedience to Allah, to himself as a messenger of Allah. It was very difficult to him. The stories of the prophets, either Musa or other prophets, is mentioned or are mentioned in the Quran for us not to just have good time, enjoying reading these stories, okay, as any other stories. No. Allah says, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ. There was, lessons in their stories. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, told us about the stories. Okay. Musa in general, Musa alayhi salam, the talk will be about the leadership attributes. The leadership attributes of Musa alayhi salam. Because we need to be, we need to have more leaders in our community. It's not enough to be a good Muslim, coming to the Masjid, praying in the Masjid, doing good things, okay, being away from bad things, which is important, of course. This is the basic of Islam. But we need to have leaders amongst us. We need to have people who have the concern about their community, about Islam, about Muslims, about, the people living around them. We need leaders. It's not enough to be just a Muslim. You have to have the responsibility towards your deen, towards Islam, towards your people. And this is what made the prophets, alayhim salam, okay, the best amongst mankind. Because they did not live for themselves. Isn't it? They lived for others. They sacrificed to guide their people and other people to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why they were successful. Very successful, even in their lives. Have you seen a prophet, or have you heard about a prophet who was, unhappy? It's just, in short slots of times, okay, some prophets, they had, big difficulties, okay, but the whole life of the prophets, it wasn't that bad. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was happy sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was very happy, isn't it? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very happy. Musa alayhi salam was very happy. So, when you work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you sacrifice your time, okay, for Allah Jalla wa Ala, so don't think that this will make you less happy in this life. No, you will be more happy in this life. And this is the thing that many people, they don't think about. People, they are just working in this life hardly, and they forget about this fact. When you work for Allah and you follow the prophets of Allah, you will be happy, not in the hereafter only, but in this life. Okay, Musa alayhi salam, he grew up in Pharaoh's palace, as we know the story. Well, I'm not going. I will not go through the story of Musa. It's a very long story. Okay, I just will, give a general. Okay, general. Let's say we'll go through the story generally. Okay, and we will give 4 lessons of leadership, especially leadership. Okay, what were the leadership attributes of Musa alayhi salam which made him successful in his da'wah? Okay? So he grew up in Pharaoh's palace. We know the story. Okay. What happened after that? He killed, by mistake, one of the Egyptians, the people of Pharaoh. Okay? This is the beginning of the story. Okay? He was he was treated as a prince in the palace of Pharaoh. Okay? But because of this mistake, he didn't know how to deal with it. But nobody knows about it, knew about it at that time. Even Pharaoh, who killed that Egyptian guy, and he killed him by mistake. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, forgave him, as mentioned in the Quran. فَغَفَرْنَا لَهُ ذَلِكَ. And we forgave him. After a while, he found the same guy from amongst his people, the sons of Israel, fighting with other guy from the Egyptians. And Musa, he was angry because this guy has trouble with people all the time. The guy from his people, from the sons of Israel. And he said, you are a bad person. Okay? And he talked against him, against the person who is from his people, not from the Egyptians. And he thought that Musa will kill him, as he killed the Egyptian before. Okay? And he was afraid. And he said, oh Musa, you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? Wow. And he told people about the story. Pharaoh, of course, heard about it, that Musa killed one of the people of himself. Okay. So Musa alayhi salam, what did he do? This is the first lesson. What did Musa alayhi salam do? Musa, he was warned by a man. He came to him and he said, listen Musa, the people now are planning to kill you. Okay? I advise you, Musa, to leave Masjid, Egypt. Don't stay. Okay. What did Musa do? Did he stay one night or 2 nights waiting to see what will happen? Did he think about the place he will go to? Did he think about the food he will take with him? No. Musa alayhi salam, he knew at that time that this is something, okay, unusual. And he has to decide quickly about it. There is no time to wait. He has to decide. And he decided to leave Masr, okay, and hide from Pharaoh and his people. And this is the first lesson. So Musa alayhi salam, this is the first leadership attributes, okay, we'll talk about. Leadership requires reaction to unexpected circumstances. When you are a leader, okay, even amongst your family, even in this masjid, even in our community, everyone, if you have the leadership attribute, okay, you have to react to the unexpected circumstances quickly and wisely. Okay? So this is one of the things that Musa alayhi salam did. And this is the first leadership lesson we go true. Okay. When he, alayhi salam, left Egypt, he went to Madian. Madian is a place, a city, okay, in Palestine or in Sham, in these countries. He went there. He had nothing with him. Nothing with him. He walked for days. He had no food, no water. He was very, very tired. Okay? Think about this, because this is the second lesson. He reached a place where people, okay, they water their camels. There is a well, okay, there is a spring or a well, and people, they water their camels. He rested under a tree looking at the gathering, okay, because he is a stranger. He didn't know them, and they did not know him. And he was hungry, he was thirsty. Subhanallah. At the same time, he noticed that there were two women, two girls, okay, waiting far from the gathering with their camels. And he went right away asking them, because all the gathering are men. He said, "What are you doing here?" They said, "We are waiting. We want to water our camels, but you know, we are weak. We cannot, you know, do that while the people, the men, are there. We have to wait till they finish, okay, and then we will do the job. So why you are here? Why? Where are your men?" They said, "We don't have we have only our father, and he's an old person. He can't come." Okay. So Musa alayhi salam, when the men finished, they were, you know, bad people. They put a big rock, okay, on the, you know, on top of the well, okay, so that no other people can use the well. And it was a big rock. يعني you need 10 people to move it. And Allah gave Musa the strength. And he moved the rock, and he watered the camel of the two kings. What's the lesson here? Musa alayhi salam, imagine, he was tired, walking, okay, for several days, hungry, okay, even though he was concerned about two girls waiting, okay, behind the gathering. So what the leadership attributes Musa alayhi salam had in this point? The leadership, this is what we, you know, this is the tributes, okay? The leadership requires taking responsibilities towards the community. And the leaders shouldn't think only about themselves. You should think about other people before you think about yourself. This is, okay, one of the leadership attributes that we should have to be good leaders in our communities. And to be honest, majority of Muslims don't have this. Majority of Muslims, alhamdulillah, we have good Muslims, and we have good leaders amongst our community. But many Muslims, they think about themselves, and they don't think about their neighbors. They don't think about their relatives. They don't think about their Muslims, around them, or in the city, or in UK, or everywhere. So to be a good Muslim, you have to have this concern. You have to take responsibility. You have to think about others. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who knows the hadith about this? There is a hadith which reflects this 100%. Allah says, the Prophet ﷺ says, من كان بحاجة أخيه كان الله بحاجته. Whoever, spend time in serving his brother and looking after his brother, Allah will look after himself. Allah will look after himself, meaning Allah will assist him. So when you help one brother, the result that Allah will help you. So who has more power, you or Allah? So your power is limited, and you help your brother with this limited power. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you assistance for your affairs. So this is the second lesson. So what was the first lesson? We'll go just to remember. What was the first lesson? Shabab? What was the first lesson?
That is a reaction.
Yeah, reaction. Yeah, quick reaction. Yeah. You have to be ready. Don't say, oh, I can't do anything. No. Be ready all the time. Alhamdulillah. Be ready all the time. You have reliance on Allah, but you have to have, quick decisions sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. And the second lesson we just talked about, what is that? Brothers.
Concern problems.
What?
Concern problems.
Concerning about others. Yes. Okay. What happened after that? We know the story that Musa alayhi salam, the two girls, they went to their father, and they praised Musa alayhi salam. They said, we met a man. Because, what happened, their father noticed that they came earlier than they. He said, oh, what happened? You came early today. And they told him the story. And he said, okay, mashallah, good thing. And they said, okay, my father, why don't you, why don't you employ this guy? Because he's strong, he's strong because he moved the big rock. So they noticed that Musa alayhi salam is strong. And they said, he's Ameen. Because when they took him to their father, he did not walk behind them. He walked in front of them. And they said, okay, just tell me the route. So Musa alayhi salam, he went to their fathers and he married one of the girls, and he worked for the father for 8 years or 10 years. So what happened after that? After 10 years or 8 years, suddenly Musa alayhi salam, he said, I have to go back to my country. why I'm staying here? Well, he benefited, to be honest. He benefited from being 10 years or 8 years alone. He worked for the man, okay, for his father-in-law. He worked as a shepherd, okay, just, you know, in the desert, you know, looking after the sheep. So he had time to think about the creation of Allah and to think about, you know, who created the creation, who created the mountains, who created the people, who created the heavens. So 10 people away from everything, just, you know, with the sheep and his family, small family. And Allah prepared him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared Musa for what? For the revelation. Revelation is heavy, it's not something easy. So Allah prepared Musa alayhi salam. So suddenly, when the period finished, he said, okay, I will return to my country. Okay, his wife, she refused at the beginning. She said, how come? Where are you going? Are you crazy? He said, I have to go. SubhanAllah, he didn't receive any revelation at that time. It was from Allah, of course. Allah, he, subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has control on us. So he decided to go, and his wife at the end went with him. She was a good wife. So Musa alayhi salam, on his way on the mountain of Al-Tur, he was looking for guidance. He got astray in the desert. He didn't know where to see. He was in a place somewhere in Sinai, and he saw a fire, and he said to his wife, his family, okay, just stay here, I will go and see, observe, what is this? We may find, you know, something useful for us. He went there to the mountain of Al-Tur, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to him. Oh Musa, innahu ana Allah Rabbul Alameen. It's me, Allah, the Lord of Al-Alameen. So from there, the prophethood started. So Musa now became a prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right away ordered him to go to Pharaoh, okay, to convey the message of Allah to him. Do you see how strong was Musa alayhi salam by the guidance of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So what's the lesson here? Something happens. Musa alayhi salam, when Allah choose him to be a prophet, okay, he didn't say, okay, Allah, I will go and they will do what you ordered me to do and they will speak to Pharaoh. No. He was the best brother in history. Why? He was the best brother in history. Why? Because of his request, his brother became a prophet. Subhanallah. He said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, وَأَخِي هَارُونَ هُوَ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا فَأَرْسِلْهُ مَعِيَ رِدْءًا يُصَدِّقُنِي إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكَ. So Allah, okay, so send my brother Harun with me, okay, because his tongue is better than my tongue. and he can speak better than me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, سنشد عضدك بأخيك ونجعل لكما سلطانا فلا يصلون إليكما بآياتنا أنتما ومن اتبعكما الغالبون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he accepted the request of Musa alayhi salam, and Allah sent Harun as a prophet to to join Musa alayhi salam in his task. So what's the leadership attributes what's the leadership attribute that we can understand from this? That when leadership is not about doing everything by yourself. Leadership is not about doing everything by yourself. Okay, I'll do this and do that, I will do that, and they will go and we will come. No. You will do the khutbah, and you be the imam, and you be the manager, and you be everything. Okay? You will record, the talks, and no. You have to use the people who are with you. You have to use them. You don't have the choice. If you are a leader, I'm not talking about, people who, don't have this, kind of attributes. I'm talking about the leaders. The leader, he's the one who can, use people, working with people, choosing the right people to help him. This is one of the most important attribute that some leaders don't have. You have to think about this, okay? First, to be bigger, because you cannot be big when you work alone. And to train others to be leaders. You have to train other people in your area, or in your masjid, or in your household, to be leaders and to take the responsibility. And when you choose the right people, you have to delegate some tasks to them. Not just to say, okay, you are with me, come, you are with me, we want to work in this masjid, we want to make da'wah to non-Muslims, we want to make da'wah to Muslims, we want to help, okay, our community to be in a better situation, okay, and at the same time, you do not give and delegate tasks to your group. You have to give them tasks, okay, and you follow up with them. Is this clear? This listen. Yeah. Who can just say this? What's this listening?
You delegate tasks to your below you.
Yeah. Yeah, using the people you're working with. Yeah. I think this is one of the problems you have. I noticed that some people, some leaders, if we consider them as leaders, they don't have this attribute. They just work with them. They are good people, to be honest. Usually they are very good people. They work very hard. Okay? But because they don't have this attribute, okay, they can't, work with other people, the youth, the others, and try to benefit from their eagerness in doing, good things, in participating, in, arranging some programs, and implementing some projects. So this is something very important to have in our Masjid, in our community. What do you think, Sheikh? Okay. So what happened after that? Musa and Fir'aun, Musa and Harun, they went to Fir'aun. They conveyed the message, okay? And they, they called Fir'aun to obey Allah and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know the story, he refused the message. Okay. After that, Musa alayhi salam, he asked Fir'aun, he said, okay, listen, if you are not, if you are not accepting the message, just send me, or send with me, the sons of Israel, my people. Just give them to me. Of course, Pharaoh, he refused. Why he refused? Because they were slaves to Fir'aun and his people. Okay, Banu Israel, the sons of Israel, they were slaves to Fir'aun and his people. They used them. Okay, so of course he refused. And Musa alayhi salam, he challenged Fir'aun. He said, okay, I have a miracle for you. If you don't, accept the message, okay, I can prove to you that I am a messenger from Allah. Okay? So he threw his stick and became a snake. And he put his hand on his shoulder and became white. Pharaoh, he did not, he did not believe what he watched. And he said, okay, you are a magician. I have 100,000 magicians in Egypt. Okay? It's nothing. And he gathered all the people in one place and he brought the magicians. And they asked Musa, okay, and shall we start or you start, Musa? And he was a bit worried. Because you're alone and you're facing all those, thousands of magicians. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he revealed to him, قُلْنَا لَا تَخَفْ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْأَعْلَى. And Allah said to him, don't fear them. You will be the winner. You will be above them. Anyhow, they started their magic. And Musa alayhi salam were ordered by Allah to throw his stick, and his stick became a big snake and ate all their stuff. So the magicians, and this is a big lesson, but it's not about our talk. The magicians, subhanAllah, right away, they knew that Musa is not a magician. He is a prophet from Allah. Because what they saw is something that no mankind can do. And all of them came to Allah, prostrated, make sujood, and became Muslim. Right away, subhanAllah. And many Muslims, they born Muslims, they grow up in Muslims' household, and still they are, their iman is weak. But the magicians, from this lesson, from this accident, they became very strong mu'mineen. And Fir'aun challenged them, and he killed them. They didn't change. But this is not from, you know, the lessons we are talking about, leadership. After that, Musa alayhi salam, and he did many things to his people. Musa alayhi salam, after this, you know, accident, the magicians, they accepted the message of Allah and they became mu'mineen, believers, all of them, and they were killed because of that, and they did not change their faith. At the same time, the people of Musa alayhi salam and the Egyptians, okay, they did not benefit from that, you know, accident. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed to all people, because all people were gathered, that Musa is a prophet. Okay? And the magicians, they knew that, and they believed in Allah right away, and they were killed for the sake of Allah. At the meantime, the ordinary people, the Egyptians, and some of the sons of Israel, okay, they still had doubt about Musa and his message. Subhanallah. So what was the, what's the lesson in this? And this is the last one. That leadership. Did you imagine? Brothers? You imagine the situation. Musa alayhi salam in this very difficult situation, and Allah gave him big victory. Okay. Nevertheless, the people, they are still, not believing in him. So the lesson from this, the leadership lesson from this part of the story, that leadership requires patience. Don't think when you call non-Muslims to Allah and one day all of them they will become Muslims because you are good Muslim and you're concerned about them. No. You have to be patient. You have to be patient. You may spend 1 year, 2 years, 3 years and no one accept your da'wah. Alhamdulillah. What's wrong with that? When you call your children, okay, when you try with your children, you teach them Islam, and some of them do not accept Islam. Practicing Islam. They are Muslims, but they are not practicing. And you make big effort with them, and they do not accept it at the beginning. Okay? Alhamdulillah, just be patient. Be patient. Keep making da'wah for your children, for your household, for your neighbors, and for non-Muslims everywhere. Be patient. This is very important. And at the same time, rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Musa alayhi salam, he was patient and he relied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah gave him victory at the end. And don't be depressed when people do not listen to you at the beginning. Because inshallah at the end you will gain some benefits, and it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may some people, they make, big efforts in da'wah, and less people, okay, follow them and accept their da'wah. And mashallah, some people, they work little or less than that, and many people accept their da'wah. It's not in our hands. It's on Allah's hand, isn't it? It's in Allah's hand. It's not in our hands. So what we have to do is to work for the sake of Allah, with sincerity, with reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the result is not for us. The result is not for us. And as we know, the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whom Allah revealed to them, okay, the revelation, they came on the day of judgment, and some of them, they have only 2 followers. A prophet with 2 followers, only 2 followers. He's a prophet. And for ourselves, when we make da'wah, and only 1 person or 2 person or 10 persons accepted our da'wah, we say, oh, only 10? SubhanAllah. The prophet, some of the prophets in the day of judgment, they will come with only 2 followers. And some of them will come with 1 follower. SubhanAllah. And some of them will come with no followers. No followers, 0. So who we are to expect to be better than the prophets of Allah? So it's, alhamdulillah, what we see in our nation, that people accept the da'wah. Alhamdulillah, this is a bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is ni'mah. But we need to make more effort. We have to be patient. We have to take the responsibility. We have to work together. We have to look after our community. And we have to have reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلنا جميعا هداة مهتدين غير ضالين ولا مضلين، وأن يستعملنا في طاعته، وأن يرزقنا رضاه. اللهم إنا نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والعزيمة على الرشد والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يقتدي بنبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم حق الاقتداء. اللهم اجعلنا من الدعاة إلى سبيلك الذين يدعون بالتي هي أحسن. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يدعون إلى سبيلك بالتي هي أحسن، وارزقنا الصبر في ذاتك، واجعلنا ممن يبتغي بعمله وجهك والدار الآخرة. اللهم ارزقنا الإخلاص في القول والعمل. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولجميع المسلمين، وجزاكم الله خيرا على استماعكم. جزاكم الله خير for your attendance, and inshallah we'll see you again. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.